tusks of steel and never turn the Elephander. Titans stand, engines thunder, towers grand, laser cannons, armor thick, war machines build iron quick. Behind the silent stand as one, a wall of steel where the blood rivers run. No blade, no claw can break their line. The Elephander's all by design. Monster machine, elephants, march of doom. Summons out the war, the cannons boom. Hold the line, let the empire stand. Elephander, the Iron Hand. Even in death they will not heal. Their bones are steel, their blood the field. Iron elephants, march of doom. Trumpets of war, the cannons boom. Hold the line, let the empire stand. Elephander, the Iron Hand. Even in death they will not heal. Their bones are steel, their blood the field. Grit strong and they made their stand against the horde that swept the land. Republic guns and Republic roar. The Elephanters gave them war. Hours bled and the night turned red. Bodies burning where Titans bled. The Empire fled because they stayed. The Elephanters paid what the Empire prayed. Fall beyond the wall. Iron elephants, lasting fame. 100 stood, 100 claim. Gylos remembers the Republic fear. Elephanders that drew the blood of year. That brave the sand, one sea still shakes from the Iron Hand. Iron elephants, lasting fame. 100 stood, 100 flame. Gylos remembers the Republic fear. Elephanders that drew the blood of year. Their name is war, that brave the sand, one sea still shakes from the Iron Hand. Hold the line. They are the wall. The war begins once more. The war begins once more. The grand circle monster machines, the Zoids. Of the central continent plains where steel beasts charge and leave bloodstains. The Helic Republic holds the line, a shining cause by fate designed. From the shadows of the dark continents, the Gylos rise, malevolent intent with saber teeth and iron fists. The black machines scream through the mists. Mogus crawl and iguans bite, but guttos roar and join the fight. From ancient wrecks their war begins, now only steel and fire wins. Monster machines! It's the war for Planet Z, where the brave will live and tyrants die. Zoid to Zoid, Skyland, Republic steel makes it stand. Shooters clash, simmer tigers scream, salamanders scorch the dream. Godulus rises through smoke and flame, and iron cones fall to shame. It's the war for planet Z, where the brave will live and tyrants die. Zoid to Zoid, Skyland, Republic steel makes it stand. Shooters clash, simmer tigers scream, salamanders scorch the dream. Godulus rises through smoke and flame, and iron cones fall to shame. Mogas swarm like worms of war, but laser jaws even every score. Red horns stomp with ruthless pride, but Godulus meets them eye to eye. Through jungles thick and burning skies, the Shieldliggers run where valor flies. Against the saber tiger lies, as their claws strike true, Republic never dies. Monster machines, the Nibus bones, they fuel the dark, but freedom burns with a righteous spark. Old empires rise, but never last. Helix stands, the die is cast. Monster machines! It's the war for planet Z. Let the tyrants hear our battle cry. From godlike beast to raptor speed, we fight for honor, not for greed. Sky turns red, steel gods fall, but the Helic heart outlast them all. Raise your fist and scream with pride, the Zoids of freedom will not hide. The war for planet Z. Let the tyrants hear our battle cry. Lie in chains, and Redhorn Rex rust in the rains. Shieldlingers walk the fields they won, and Z turns slowly toward the sun. This is our world, this is our fight. Zoids of Helic burn through the night. For planet Z we rise, we fall, but freedom stands above them all. Giants rise from lion grounds. Blue guardians down the heart. Lights and fury in the sky.